Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengal fan on most of the major platforms, and I'm joined here with Sam Schneider, my partner in crime, for another episode of Jungle Talk. Woo!
Here we go, baby. Here we go.
And you know what? It took it. We didn't get to do this week one for a while, but we won today. Oh my gosh! Yes, it was a huge day, and as usual, we're recording a little later because Sam was actually at the game. So we had to let him get home, and there's traffic, and it was an overtime game. But we're finally recording. But we'll do what we usually do. We're going to go through the good and the bad, and there was there was some of both. There was some of both, but the best
and the ugly too, Mark.
Yeah, and the ugly. Well, we'll get into that fourth down call at the 30. Well, you can't get. We're not going to escape that white elephant in the room. So, but first of all, I would just like to point out. And I want to give kudos to the Bengal organization for the Price trade because Hill made his presence felt immediately. Hill did more in this game than Price did in his entire stay in Cincinnati. And so what a genius move, moving Price off to the Giants and getting Hill in there. He had our first sack of the season, and then he had a sack late in the fourth quarter. But what a great way to turn some vinegar into wine. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, and we were just lamenting last week that we cut Mike Daniels and then moved him to re-sign him to the practice squad, and we're like, why? It's Mike Daniels. Well, right now it's not feeling like such a bad choice right now after BJ Hill had 3 tackles and 2 of them were sacks.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to get that in because that was like the first thing I wrote down here because we got that first sack and I thought, oh my gosh, we now have gotten more than Price ever gave us just today. So but you want to tell us a little bit being at the game today? I mean, how it felt, the energy.
Yeah, sure. It was it was great. It was electric in the stadium. There was a lot of purple. There was a lot of purple in that stadium, and it's the time of year, and it's also the first game of the season. So people are able to go out of town and want to, venture out when they're not, opening at home. So there were a lot of them there. But as you can imagine, Minnesota fans are pretty friendly people. So nobody's, getting out of line, and Bengal fans are extremely humble, at the stadium for the most part. So nobody's really, talking crap to them. But there were a couple times where, if you weren't paying attention and, or if you were, in the restroom or something like that, and something happened and the crowd roared, you had to stop yourself from assuming that it was because the Bengals did something good, because there were that many
purple people eaters
fans there, and the skull chant broke out several times. But in pockets, you know what I mean? I'm not saying like the whole stadium in unison was doing it or anything like that, but that was really cool. All of the stuff that they were trying to do with fan experience was great. The 9/11 tribute was great. The flyover was awesome. Instead of trying to do a real quick one with the like a stealth bomber or whatever, they had, I don't know, and pardon me for anybody that's watching that was there, I don't know anything about war era planes, but they had what I figure is probably a B-52. It was a giant plane. It was moving slow, and it was flanked by 4 other war airplanes, and they were flying real low. So that was kind of a sight to behold. Overall, the energy in the stadium was really good. I thought on the third downs, everybody got really pumped up, and for the first several drives, even on the first and second downs, because the defense was performing well, the crowd was really, really responding. And Mixon even mentioned that in his press conference when he dropped like innumerable number of F-bombs, to the point where Dave Lapham eventually just stopped trying to tell him not to curse. But he mentioned the energy in the stadium and how it felt to him as a player. So, as fans, I feel like we did our job. I had a great time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's get into the good and the bad. We always cover the bad first thing when we didn't like today. And I'll run through a few of these. I've got, first of all, we had some very conservative play calling to start the game. We had some very conservative play calling to end the game. That kind of, I think we actually helped Minnesota get back into the game. That bothered me. And it bothered me early on because we had really good field position and we got nothing from it. We literally started drives at the 40, the 45, the 50 and got no points. So that was something that bothered me. I talked about in our preview episode about the Trey Wayans injury and how I thought Eli Apple was a big liability out there. And you could see it on that 3rd and 24 play when he whiffs on the tackle. He did not have a good game. We were exposed. We need him long term, that's not a great answer. And obviously I didn't like the call going for it. We have all the momentum and I know Zach's going for the knockout punch, but on our own 30. And then if you're going to make that call, I hated the play call. I hate taking the ball when you're going for a yard and taking it and pulling it back 5 yards and then asking Mixon to get 6 yards.
Yeah.
So,
I couldn't agree more. I didn't mind the call to go for it that much, but I thought the play call was just it was so typical Cincinnati. It was so typical of us to try to get cutesy and starting a different formation, run them in. Man, these guys are professionals. Like, they're not stupid. Like, they know exactly what you're doing. When the guy comes in and stands next to the quarterback, they're like, oh, cool, delayed draw. That's gonna be great. Yeah.
I would have rather just seen the sneak. Just get behind your reef and follow him in. It worked before. I just hate when you're trying to get inches and you literally take the ball yards away to then get inches. I hate.
Yeah, I've never been able to figure that out. When it's 4th and 1 and any team, not just the Bengals, any team, when it's 4th and 1 or 4th and inches and they line up in shotgun, I will never for the life of me understand why anybody would ever do that.
Well, we did it, and
it's ridiculous. You're instantly making it 4th and 4, 4th and 5,
right?
By doing that.
Yeah, no, I hated that. So, but that's pretty much, that's what I had mostly for my bat.
And I'll address those because those were the big ones for me too. The Eli Apple thing. Yeah, it's like you said, we talked about it last week that he would be great for depth, but we were a little iffy about him having to start a game. And you were absolutely right when you discussed that last week. And the proof is in the pudding. Thielen had like 92 yards on X number of catches and 2 touchdowns. I've got it written here somewhere.
Right. We had 9 receptions and 92 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, 92 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson was 5 for 71. That's a 14.2 average, but regardless, we knew whichever one would be lined up on him was probably going to feast. And to our luck, it took Minnesota a little longer than I thought it would to figure that out.
Right.
Which was great because they were, kind of playing into our hands for a little while because we bottled up Dalvin Cook really well. He hasn't had a game under 90 yards rushing with 20 or more carries since 2019. That means we did pretty good.
20 carries for 61 yards.
Yeah, and
that's a great day.
And for a team that struggles against the run, and we struggled against the run last year, that's big. And I'm getting sidetracked, but I couldn't agree more on the Eli Apple thing. The play calling, once again, it's I didn't mind going for it on 4th. I didn't like the play call. I will say that I think overall the entire game, the play calling was abysmal. I thought it was terrible. And I hate to make it, I'm excited about the win. I'm thrilled.
Right.
And I hate to take away from it, but we're not going to win 6 games with the play calling that we had today.
Right.
No chance. We might not even win 5 with the play calling that we had today. And it's making me, as a staunch defender of Zach Taylor, It's making me really question my allegiances at this point, because some of the stuff that they're doing out there, I don't quite understand. And I'll take it one step further. The huge play that we had after the fumble, which I know we'll discuss,
Right.
the huge play that we had when Burrow lofted it down the field to Uzama, right?
CJ, yeah.
Yeah, for 32 yards, which was like,
Fourth and 4 play,
yeah,
right? With
which was
very little time left. Yeah.
ultimately the play that won us the game.
Yes.
I have serious questions as to whether that was actually called by the sideline.
No, it wasn't. We already football the football night in America already talked about it. Burrow audible to it.
Oh, he
Burrow
did.
changed the play. Yes, that's
Okay, see,
all
I haven't
Joe
been
Burrow,
able-
and we're going to get into the good because
Yeah.
there was a lot of good today, and I'm going to defend the coaches a little bit on other aspects, but yeah, that was not. We don't know what play was called from the sidelines.
Yeah,
we may
I
never
have-
know, but that was Burrow's audible.
I've had no chance to watch or listen to
Right.
anything before we did this. But I suspected, like, at that moment, and my buddy sitting next to me looked at me. He's like, "There's no way that that call came in from the
No.
sideline. There's
That was
no
Burrow.
way."
And they practiced it this week. He has never thrown a ball to CJ
Right.
in his entire career, and this is the one. And they practiced it, and he was actually, I think, the third option in that audible. So he wasn't even the primary guy, but he was the one he saw behind him, and there was a play they practiced, and he felt comfortable throwing it. And
He was wide the hell open.
oh
So,
no, it was beautiful.
God bless him.
It was that's the kind of gamble I like to see versus the 4th and 1 at your 30. But and it was just like I said, I just felt like we gave away a lot of momentum by not making it. I know we could have kept. My feeling, when you're going to go for it at near midfield on 4th down, that first down has to immediately put you almost in scoring distance.
Right.
So you can't, where we could have made the first down and then had a holding penalty on the next play and been, back at third, first and 20 from the 20. You know what I mean? It's just, you're in an area of the field where there's not a huge reward and it's a huge cost. And that's why I didn't like the call at that time at our 30-yard line.
Well, and I think it's fair to say also that I could even accept it if it didn't put you in striking distance, but if you have a play in your playbook that is going to work, like maybe this is the only time you'll even bust it out this season.
Right.
You're like, well, if we spend it right now, we will never be able to use it again because it'll be on tape.
Right.
Then I'd be okay with it. But what they did was not that.
Right. No,
not that.
I agree. Well, let's get to the good, because there's a lot of good today. And I'll since we were talking about the coaches, I'm going to throw out my coaching nugget for you. I really thought the coaches did a great job having this team ready. I mean, if you looked at Minnesota, here was a team, they had 10 first half penalties. 5 of them were false starts. Okay. And all the holding penalties, they struggled with our defensive line, which is another great thing we're going to get into. But I really felt like our coaches had our guys ready. We had 3 penalties today. And you think about it, Minnesota could have had, I don't know that Minnesota declined a lot of penalties against us. We declined a number of penalties against Minnesota.
I don't think to my knowledge that they declined any against.
So we only had 3 flags, and they had 10 first half penalties, 12 total, but we declined probably 4 or 5 penalties. So there are probably 17 flags. That team was not ready to play. So kudos to our coaching staff. I'm surprised I'm saying this, but they had our guys ready to play. Zimmer did not have his guys ready to play. They were not focused.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
I guess so. I just don't know. I never know in this situation how much of it is coaching and how much of it is the man on the field saying, I'm ready to play.
Well, I'm going down this route. If our team had 17 penalties, we'd be ripping the coaches apart for not having them ready and focused. So they have to get the kudos when there's only 3 flags. That's just my feeling on that. So
I agree that they did. Yeah, I agree with that. And they did definitely play disciplined. And I will tell you, at the stadium, everybody, I mean, the crowd was like, where did this defense come from?
Oh,
And we're like, I
well,
mean, the defensive line was relentless. Even when we didn't get direct pressure on Cousins, we were pushing the offensive
oh.
lineman back, and that was great to see. And the legs didn't get too tired.
No, and we didn't see a lot of holding penalties in preseason. But today, these were so blatant that, I mean, Hendrickson just being held and Reeder these were so blatant.
One guy, I can't remember who it
Choice to
was,
throw the
somebody got
flag.
tackled. I mean,
Yeah. Oh,
what?
they had a couple WWE moves. Yeah. Where it
Right.
was a pin down. But our defensive line, you transition right into it. Our defensive line played great. I think this is all what we thought we would have last year. And then Reeder and Gino and everybody was never on the field at the same time. But I finally see the vision. Yeah, we don't have Lawson, but Hendrickson was everything he was billed to be. I mean, he was pushing every single play. So I was really, really pleased with what we saw out of the defense.
Me too, and I was thrilled with Ogunjobi. His name came over the speaker so many times,
Right.
and he ended the day with 6 tackles, 4 of them solo. He had a sack and 2 tackles for a loss, which is really just 1 tackle for a loss and a sack. But
Right.
he was constantly. I mean, he was just a nuisance, and that's what you love on your
Yes.
team. You want that guy he's just always there. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
He might not be the best guy on the field, but he's just always there. Think about when you play against those guys and you're like, God, that dude is just always involved. I hate it. Drives me nuts. It's nice to have a guy like that because he played great. And I thought the linebackers as a whole did a good job as well.
Yeah, well, Pratt made a couple big plays. Wilson made some good plays. And then the other thing, our secondary, they finally mentioned it on Daryl Johnston on TV. They said, you know what? Arguably, this is the best safety tandem when they were talking about Bell and Bates. Arguing that this is one of the top, but no one knows it. We don't get talked about, but clearly our secondary. They did their job today. And I have one note. Awuzie is greater than William Jackson III. So what a great
150 million%.
Yeah, we never got this kind of game out of Billy Jack.
150 million%.
Everything's like an upgrade. This defense, and this is going to help our offense because this is the defense that our offense has to practice against during the week. So this just helps the team out tremendously when our defense looks like this. So just loved it.
I thought Awuzie did a great job. He was all over the place. Remember I talked about Pratt last week as somebody I thought was really going to step up for the season. So it was nice to see that first step in game 1. Yeah. I'm thrilled about that. I'm actually considering him because I'm a linebacker guy for my next jersey. But yeah, I mean, just overall, it's hard not to be happy about what the defense did today. Yeah. I think it's easy to be a little unhappy about what the offensive did, and it's a combination of play calling and execution, but the defense looked fantastic.
Oh yeah. And then the other thing we'll talk about while we're still talking about the we'll shift over to the offense and put down a couple things. First of all, a Legatron. That's what we're going to call him now, is Legatron. I said he was going to play a factor, and we got 2 big kicks out of him. So that was a real positive. And the Chase drops, I think we can stop talking about it because it's over. I mean, Chase had 3 targets. He caught all 3 balls, and nothing. Like I said, I think the any issues we had were answered. And the first 2 balls that he caught, he had to make adjustments to. So this wasn't like it was just there. The touchdown was actually the easiest catch he had because he beat the defender.
Yeah.
But the other 2 catches he had to make adjustments to. Caught all 3 targets, never an issue. It's rear view mirror time. So that's over and done with. And then we talked a lot. If you go back and watch videos from last year about how we end the first set, how we end the first half, how we start the second half, and scoring that touchdown to Chase. Here I had tweeted out, hey, let's get into field goal range. And we ended up getting a touchdown and then coming out right in the start of the third quarter and getting that on their touchdown. That's exactly what I want to see. And we didn't see that last year. We got it today.
It was enormous, and we were aggressive. And by the way, anybody that's because I know the Bengals comment boards and Twitter and everything is full of people that are willing to say bad things about their own team, talking about Chase's drops and everything. I want
Totally.
y'all to stand up and just admit that you were so wrong. So wrong. You don't forget how to catch.
Well, I
You
just
don't
said
forget how to catch.
we were talking in the preview, and I was saying about things you were feeling good about, not feeling good about. You couldn't feel good about the preseason he had. That's all. But
Oh, no, absolutely.
yeah.
No,
But you
and
know how you
I'm
put
not.
that in the rearview mirror, and you make that a dead issue. You do what you did today. You had 3 balls thrown to you. You caught all 3. You got a touchdown. Well,
Yeah,
welcome to the NFL. Welcome to
yeah,
Cincinnati.
exactly. And I think deep down, I always thought he'd do that. By the way, he was the better former LSU receiver on the field today.
Yes, he was.
And the other one won Rookie of the Year. So
Right. Yep. But so, and then I also there was a play. Most people probably, you won't think about it. Well, I guess you will think about it because it led to a touchdown, but there was an offsides by Minnesota. So Burrow knew he had a free play, and he dropped back and he chucked it downfield, and we got the pass interference call. And all I thought about was Andy Dalton would have scrambled around and thrown the ball away. And it's like I always say, throw it down there. Maybe you get a catch. Maybe you get a flag. Good things happen when you try to stretch the field. And boom, all of a sudden there was. And I think that led to the T. Higgins touchdown.
It's like an evolution, because you're absolutely right. Andy Dalton would have run around like crazy looking for the best option and trying to find somebody. If you go back a little further, Carson Palmer, as soon as that flag went up in the air, he would have just taken a knee.
Right.
And the play would be over. He would have taken the yards, and we'd have moved up.
But he actually pulled an Aaron Rodgers move. I mean, that's what Aaron Rodgers did. Nobody gets
it's
more
a free play. Just throw the ball.
Exactly.
There's absolutely nothing could go wrong.
Right.
Short of someone on your team actually murdering. Literally murdering someone on the other team. There's nothing that can go wrong in that situation.
Yeah. So that's what I had. That's most of the stuff that I had that was really good. I've touched on all of it. What do you have that's you want to add?
I just wanted to, I think we mostly agree on the what's good, what's not good. I still want to see some improvement out of Zach on the play calling.
Yes.
I feel like it starts off with a bang, and it finishes usually pretty well, but the middle is just so vanilla. It's just so Bratkowski-ish that it bothers me a little bit.
It was actually today. It was the opposite. We started real conservative, and I thought that was because he wanted Burrow to kind of get into the game, and then he got sacked, and Burrow kind of limped off, and the announcers were all saying, "Hey, you know what? Maybe he's maybe they're protecting Burrow and whatnot." But then Burrow audibles to that pass in overtime. So, like I said, I want to feed Mixon. We do need to feed Mixon, but we've got to disguise it more. And I really felt like the third and fourth quarter play calling is what played Minnesota back into the game. The game didn't need to be that close. We could have really, really stepped on it. And I want us to develop into a team that knows how to really get that killer instinct and finish teams off. We don't need as Bengal fans to get the gray hair that we got today.
I agree. And let's not confuse conservative with not running the ball. I know that's not what you mean, but for anybody watching, that's not what we're talking about. It's just, Mixon today had 127 yards rushing, another 30 yards, 30 yards receiving. He had a 4.5 yard average and a touchdown. He's the first, this is crazy. He's the first Bengal to have 100+ yard effort in the opener in 10 years. Wow. The last one was Cedric Benson in 2011.
Wow.
Was the last running back to go over 100 yards in the opener. How crazy is that?
That's crazy because Cedric Benson was hardly someone who had breakaway speed, So we had to feed him the ball 30 times to get 100 yards out of Benson.
But they
So,
played the ground and pound, and you know that eventually something's going to open up, and that's what happened with Joe today too. I mean, in the first quarter, if I had to guess, I'd say in the first quarter, his YPC was probably like 1.5
oh yeah,
yards.
there was a point where he was 5 carries for 15 yards.
No,
It was
well,
no,
so
he
three.
had
Well,
the yeah,
that's better than I thought,
right, but
honestly.
it's still that's not stellar. That's
But he
not the
ended. He ended. I mean, he touched the ball today 33 times,
yeah, 29
which
to
I think.
127, 4.4 average on rushes today.
Yep.
And then you have
Yeah,
his receiving yards,
and
four
four
receptions.
catches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, that's
So
exactly like
33 yards.
and he ran hard. He had a couple really big runs today where he stretched the first down out and it was big, like I said. But I just early on, I wanted to see a little deeper throws, more than a yard or two out of Burrow. And I don't think that was Burrow. I think they were holding him back. They were conservative to
I
start.
think they were too. I think they
So
were too. I also, so that was one thing I wanted to mention. I like talking about Mixon, obviously, and he did that against a Vikings defensive line that was, or at least the tackles that were, for all intents and purposes, just not there last year.
right,
They brought in two free agents, Michael Pierce, who opted out of last
right.
season for COVID. He came in today. He had 3 solo tackles. 2 of them were sacks.
Yeah, he had a
He
big
was a
game.
monster.
Right.
His name was called over and over. I don't even know how many hurries he had. And from the files of, isn't this always the way it is when somebody leaves Cincinnati?
Right.
Nick Vigil,
Yeah.
10 tackles, 8 of them solo, 1 sack, 2 for a loss. When the guy behind me today at the stadium said, I have heard Nick Vigil's name today more than I ever heard it
As a
he was in
Bengal. Yeah.
Cincinnati.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
had
which is amazing.
Nick Vigil as a Cincinnati Bengal had more almost sacks than anybody. He would be he got a beat on, and then he would get around the hips and he would fly off. And it would be like, if Vigil had made the stop, this play wouldn't have happened. But we had more.
Had a lot of,
it's like a baseball player who has the almost home runs down the line.
Tackles. Right.
Yeah. So
the only other thing I wanted to mention, and I won't draw this out. I was really disappointed not to see. I like the fact that we're throwing the ball to Mixon. I like Mixon being on the field as much as he is. I like him being on the field for the percentage of plays that he is. I was really disappointed not to see Captain America out there today.
right.
I don't even know how many snaps he took, if he took one.
I don't think he took any. I remember P. Ryan was the one coming in to do that. And I don't remember if it was P. Ryan or Mixon, but one of the sacks, there were 5 sacks on Burrow today. The Vigil sack was actually a blown assignment. I mean, they just blew the assignment. So that's one of those things that's correctable. But then the other sack, the other one, just most of them, with like Vigils was that way. But I just wasn't.
I know what you're talking about. The other one, when the running back was supposed to pick somebody up.
Didn't chip. Yeah, it just completely blew his block. And I don't remember if it was Mixon or P. Ryan. I think it was P. Ryan.
No, it was P. Ryan.
Yeah,
It was P. Ryan, because I didn't know it. I didn't know his number, and I was like, "Who's 24? Is that Chris Evans?" That's going to make me really sad.
Right.
And I realized it was P. Ryan, which actually made me more sad. But whatever.
Well, you got to do a better job. This is where you missed Gio, because Gio would have made that block. Right. So that's one sack that wouldn't have happened if Gio was in the game, where he's obviously now on Tampa Bay.
And it's worth saying that if he's not out there because he's not the blocker that Gio is, although there aren't a lot of guys that are, then I understand that. Obviously, you want the strongest blocker on the field, but P. Ryan didn't look like it. So I don't think you're sacrificing much there for a guy who looked just fantastic catching the ball in the preseason. So I hope they get him more involved. I also just want to say that I understand that there are assignments and guys learn certain positions in the playbook, even at wide receiver. You can't just take your, WR2 and move them to WR1. It's different routes. Everybody doesn't know everything. We're not drawing in the dirt back there, but not seeing Auden Tate on the field today at all and seeing Mike Thomas as much as I saw him really, really pissed me off.
So, and Michael Thomas, didn't he had a couple, one of his plays was a negative play. I was just, I don't
He
remember
had a
what it was.
negative play, and he had, I think he had 2 drops as well.
Yeah.
He had at least 1 drop, but maybe 2. But and I'm not bitching and moaning or anything. I'm just saying these are guys, Auden Tate, Chris Evans, these are guys that can contribute,
Agreed.
especially in a close game like this. So I think I'd rather have them on the field than who was out there in their stead.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all I've got on my stuff. On the prediction wise, I predicted a 29-24 score. We got 27-24. That's pretty close. And,
almost nailed it.
And then Sean Moore had it at 20. Yeah, scoring 28. He had a 28-17. So, we were.
Man,
I know. And
well,
then
we don't need to talk about
you made the Pratt prediction. I made the prediction that Legatron was going to be big.
I'll take Pratt.
Yeah, you take Pratt, and I also got Legatron, and then obviously I hate being right on this, but the Eli Apple, I just sensed that was going to be an Achilles heel.
Yeah, I think we all.
And it was. Yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, still at the end of the day, it's a great day
to win.
1-0.
Yeah.
We're 1-0. The Browns blew it.
Ravens still have to play, and the Steelers came back on the Bills today, which was sad. I lost money on that, so that was not.
Listen, everybody has got to stop before every season saying that the Steelers are going to suck, because it's just they're not going to suck until they do.
Right.
So stop predicting their demise and assuming that we're going to pass them in the standings immediately. I'm here to tell you their defense is way too good.
Well, we're going to see them in a couple weeks, so
like that.
We got him in 2 weeks.
I hate it.
Right.
But it's true.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see him in 2 weeks, which is why the game next week against the Bears is a really big game. We need to go in. We need to win next week. 2-0. They will face the Steelers. We'll see how that goes. But and the Bills is something, I'm in a pool where you have to pick up teams. You pick a number of teams, you have a certain amount of money to spend, and you have those teams for the whole year. And I didn't take the Bills. I didn't even consider the Bills because I really think they take a step back this year. I just do. That's my prediction.
Well, a step forward would be playing in the Super Bowl. So I think a step back is pretty.
Everything went right for them last year. They had a perfect storm injury wise. The teams they played, there was a lot of things in their favor. And then they proved it by not winning today. This is a home game against a playoff team. You got to win, and especially when you're leading at half.
Zach Moss today wasn't even active,
so
which kind of made me.
I don't know. Wow. Well, and they have the COVID issues. They got a lot of stuff and stadium issues, and but we'll see.
Well, hey, guess what? At the end of the day, when this week is concluded, we are 1-0, and there are 16 teams that are 0-1.
Yes.
So I feel damn good about it.
Oh yeah. Listen, our last opening day win was in 2018 against the Colts. We've had a couple heartbreakers, and it's my birthday on the, usually I was just
about to say we owe you the Bengals owed you a birthday present.
I posted on Facebook.
They delivered for you today.
Yeah. I posted on Facebook. I said, thanked everybody for all the birthday wishes yesterday. And then I said, for those of you that know me, know all I want is a Cincinnati win tomorrow. That's what I want.
Right.
So, and of course, a couple of my Viking, friends chimed in and said, well, sorry, you're going to be disappointed and blah, blah, blah. And so I haven't heard from them yet today. Yeah. I'm sure they'll.
Yeah, you think?
Well, they wouldn't have heard from me if I had lost. I don't talk smack. I kind of just let it go. But so I didn't rub it in, and I wouldn't have. So, and they don't.
So you're not me. In other words.
No, I kind of, I let them, because I know how I am when we lose. Well, you guys have seen me on these reaction videos.
By the way, anybody that's watching that has subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe.
Yes, please.
Money, do we, Mark?
What's that? No, we don't ask for money. All we want you to do is subscribe. That's all we ask for.
All right. So
click that subscribe button.
Any subscriber to this channel that wants me to call a friend of theirs to talk some junk on a one-on-one game,
Sam
let
will
me
do.
know. My prices are very gentle for.
Oh yeah, he's really reasonably priced for harassment. So when you've got that person to harass,
right,
Sam's your guy. So
right,
we'll be back.
I'm really good at tweaking that needle too, man.
There you go. So, and go ahead and tell them where they can find all your stuff, because you're busy writing articles for
Primetime Sports Talk. Absolutely. You can find me on primetimesportstalk.com. And on Twitter, it's at Talk Primetime, or you can follow me at Buy and Sell You.
All right. Well, we will be back probably, I think Thursday. We'll record on Thursday again at halftime. So we'll put our preview up on Thursday. Hey, we get to maybe we knock Andy Dalton out of the starting role next week, and Justin Fields can start week 3. So we've got other stuff down the road, but we got to get this win next week. Take things a week at a time. But this is just a really great way to start the season. So with that, I'm going to say, hoo day, everybody.
Enjoy it, fans.
Enjoy it. Savor this one.
Hoo day.
Hoo day.
Go Oregon.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.